Sivaya Nama Thiruchitrambalam. Welcome back to our discussion on the 9th Thirumurai. We are starting with the 5th Thirupadigam and in that the first verse. The first 4 Thirupadigams were given to us by Thirumaligai Thevar, which we already completed with God's grace. Now we are going to start with Sendhanar's Thirupadigam. He is the saint who has given us 4 Thirupadigams in total when it comes to the 9th Thirumurai. We have already been talking about the history of the saints who have given us these Thirupadigams and also the history behind the places for which these Thirupadigams have been sung for. We are also going to talk a lot more in this 1 year period, so I am not going into those details for this, but I will delve directly into the meaning of the verse. Let's look at the first verse now. Thiruchitrambalam. Yega Nayaganai Imayavar Karasai Ennuyir Kamodinai Ediril Boga Nayaganai Puyal Vandar Karoli Ponnedum Sivigaya Oornda Mega Nayaganai Migu Thiruveezhimizhalai Vannuri Serungoyil Yoga Nayaganai Andri Matrundrum Undena Unargilen Yani. Thiruchitrambalam. This verse is beautifully depicting one concept, very important concept in Saivism. We have so many deities when we talk about Hinduism, but this particular Padigam reinstates that we have only one Almighty, one omnipotent, omnipresent being, and that is Lord Shiva. So we are going to talk about that particular concept in this verse. It goes this way, the entire verse goes this way. It says Yega Nayagan. In Veda, we do have this concept of Ekam Sat, which means the person or basically the energy that is omnipotent, omnipresent, almighty is only one. We call it Brahman according to Veda. According to Saiva Siddhantam, we call it as Sivam. So, Eka Nayagan means he is the only one, the only one. And he is also the king of all the Devas. When you say Devas, the quality of Devas are they don't wink their eyes even for a minute, as in when we are talking and all these, we usually wink our eyes, right? Whereas Devas don't do that. That's why they are called as Imayavar. And this is also going to represent another good example, which is called as Sivan Muttargal. They also, whenever they are thinking, when they are whatever they are doing, they will never deviate their thoughts away from Lord Shiva. Even a split second, even the time taken to just close your eyes and open it, winking the eyes. So they totally think about Lord Shiva always. That is why they are also called as Imayavargal. Not only that, when we are visiting Thillai and we are looking at the cosmic dancer, we should also be looking at him, embracing him, enjoying his presence without even winking our eyes. That is the concept that we are talking about, Imayavar, which means someone who doesn't even wink their eyes for a split second, rather they are always seeing or thinking or talking about Lord Shiva only. He is the one who is the beautiful nectar in the soul that is there. When we are, basically we are all souls, right? The nectar within us is Lord Shiva, and he is the one who is going to give us the Shiv Bogam. Bogam is basically the happiness, the ever permeating happiness which can never be destroyed with any other force. Who is going to be giving us that? Only Lord Shiva. No one else in this world has the qualification to give us that kind of a happiness. So Lord Shiva is the one who is going to give us the permanent happiness that a soul requires. And this particular temple called as Thiruveezhimizhalai is believed to be brought all the way from the heaven, and it was created not by humans but by the architect who lives in the heaven. That's one of the belief, and this has also been recorded by Kari Pillayar. So we have to remember that while we are talking about this, because here they talk about Vinnari Serungoyil, which means the temple that has been brought all the way from heaven and it was installed here, or as in the way how they have established this temple is not from anything with these worldly things. And there resides Lord Shiva in the form of Nayagan. Nayagan means the king of yoga, the one who teaches us the Shiv yoga, which is the path to achieve the Shiv Bhoga. And apart from him, who else can I appreciate? Who else can I even think? So this re-establishes the concept of there is only one God, one omnipresent, one omnipotent, one almighty. Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam. Second verse. The verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. கற்றவர் விழுங்கும் கற்பக கனியை கரையில கருணை மகடலை மற்றவர் அறியா மாணிக்க மலையை மதிப்பவர் மனமணி விளக்கை செற்றவர் புறங்கள் செற்றயம் சிவனை திருவிழிமிழலை வீற்றிருந்த கொற்றவன் தன்னை கண்டு கண்டுள்ளம் குளிர என் கண் குளிர்ந்தனவே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Another lovely verse. Actually, this verse can be meditated on because it gives a lot of information. He represents, as in the saint over here, when he's talking about this particular verse, he says, Lord Shiva is the one who is who cannot be realized by everyone, especially those people who come forward and say that they are trying to achieve something, as in if they are trying to do or talk about that they are doing it with their own effort, obviously Lord Shiva will not be visible to them. But at the same time, when we are learning something, the real meaning of learning something is to understand Lord Shiva and achieve his lotus feet. So that is what he says. When someone is learning something, the learning should drive us towards the path of spirituality. All the other books or the other information that we are learning obviously is not considered as a learning process anyways. And Lord Shiva is also an ocean. When we say ocean, we do have a boundary, but Lord Shiva is an ocean without any boundary, without any shore. And we all know an ocean is filled with salt water, but here Lord Shiva is represented as mercy, grace. Imagine an ocean without any shores, and it is filled with grace, filled with mercy. That is what Lord Shiva is all about. And others cannot understand, but if we try to understand and if we are able to show the love on Lord Shiva, he will be the light in our heart, the light which throws away all the darkness in our heart, all the darkness like jealousy, even the anger, all negativity. Basically, throwing away all the negativity is possible only when we have the light called as Shiva. And he is the one who is who did a very interesting action, burnt down the the three demons that we already know, right? The three demons which they had a fortress and they were flying around. Lord Shiva burnt them to ashes. He is called as Shiva and his name is Shiva. He is the one residing in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai. And once I see him, I am able to absorb him in my heart, and because of taking him in my heart cools down or melts down, and because of that my eyes is also cooling off. Which means whenever we are able to see Lord Shiva full of love, we will feel our heart throbbing and at the same time our eyes filled with tears. This tears is not because of sadness or sorrow, but because of happiness. That is what verse number 2 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, third verse. The verse goes this way. மண்டல தொழியை விலக்கி அனுகந்த மருந்தை என் மாறிலா மாணியை பண்டலராயன்மார்க்கு அரியதுமாய் அடியார் கெளியதோர் பவள மால்வாரையை விண்டலர் மலர்வாய் வேரிவார் பொழில் சூழ் திருவிழிமிழலையுராளும் கொண்டலம் கண்டத்து எம் குருமணியை குருகவல் வீணை குருகாவே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Today's verse is actually a beautiful verse to tell us how do we get rid of our karmic effect. We all know the vicious cycle of birth and death is caused because of our karma. In order to get rid of this karma, what we should be doing is go back to Lord Shiva, surrender to him and just show love on him. Nothing else. We shouldn't be expecting anything. Just surrender. Whatever he does, he knows it better. So just surrender, get everything onto his feet and just relax. Once we start doing that, he will also ensure all the karma is going away from us and we are not getting new karmic effect also. Because of that, we can break our vicious cycle of birth and death. Hence, he is considered to be the medicine of this birth and death effect. He is considered to be the medicine who is breaking the chain of birth and death. So, once we are free, liberated from this birth and death cycle, obviously we can have a peaceful life, happy life, and ever permanent happiness is going to be there with us. That is what verse number 3 talks about. You look at this. Lord Shiva is there in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai. Thiruveezhimizhalai, Lord Shiva is the one who is considered to be the medicine who can break through the cycle of birth and death. What we have to do is surrender ourselves. Once we approach him, the karma will not approach us. Kuruga valvinai kurugave, which means once we approach him, karma will not approach us. Such a beautiful verse, right? So if you want to avoid karma impacting us, what we should do is just take a step back. This is what verse number 3 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam. The fourth verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. தன்னடி நிழல் கீழ் என்னையும் தகைத்த சசிகுல மவுலியை தானே என்னிடை கமலம் மூன்றினுள் தோன்றி எழும் செழும் சுடரினை அருள் சேர் மின்னெடும் கடலுள் வள்ளத்தை வீழி மழலையுள் விளங்குவன் பளிங்கின் பொன்னடி கடிமை புக்கினி போக விடுவன பூண்டு கொண்டேனே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Again, this particular verse talks about our saint's situation or his circumstances. This particular verse talks about how Lord Shiva took our saint 100% as his disciple and made sure that he is going to stay forever with Lord Shiva itself. As Nambi Arurar also resonates with the same information, once Lord Shiva takes us as part of his disciple, he will not let go of us. Whatever it is, he will not let go. He will take care of us, he will nurture us, and he will make sure that we are proceeding or growing to the next level. That is the beauty of being under his umbrella itself, his care and love. This particular verse starts as Lord Shiva has taken me, as in from the saint's words itself, he says, Lord Shiva has taken me and he has given me a permanent place under his feet, and that is called as Shivapuram. He has given me a permanent place there, and you know what? He has given the same place for the moon also. We all know, like it's a, we call it as a Chandrasekhara form. Lord Shiva has given this particular kind of guidance to the moon god as well. Similar to that, he has also bestowed his love on me. He has taken me as his disciple, and because of that, I am able to stay in the path of yoga, and because of that, in my chakras, I am able to feel and see Lord Shiva in each and every situation. If I have to stay in his lotus feet in Shivpuram, all I have to do is get rid of my sin, get rid of my karma. How do I get rid of my karma? Of course, we have to burn it down to ashes. Who is the fire to burn down these into ashes? Obviously, Lord Shiva. So he comes in as a fire to burn down my karma and give me the light that I need, and makes sure that I'm staying in his lotus feet forever. This Lord Shiva is there in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai. I've already surrendered myself completely to him. I'm not going to let go of him, and at the same time, he is also not going to let go of me. That is what our saint, this is directly from the saint's words itself, verse number 4. Talking about what is the state the saint is all in, how Lord Shiva has taken him, how Lord Shiva has bestowed his love and affection on the saint, and what kind of a situation the saint is in right now is being resonated in this song, verse number 4. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, the 5th verse. The verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. இத்தெய்வ நெறி நன்றென்றிருள் மாய பிறப்பர இந்திரசால பொய் தெய்வ நெறி நான் புகவகை புரிந்த புராண சிந்தாமணி வைத்த மெய் தெய்வ நெறி நான் மறையவர் வீழி மழலை வெண்ணெழி செழுங்கோயில் அத்தெய்வ நெறியில் சிவமலதவமும் அறிவரு அறிவுடையோரே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Another wonderful verse. It reinstates one particular information. If we are praying to Lord Shiva, that is also because of his grace. If we are not able to pray to Lord Shiva, it is because he has not given his grace yet. Does it mean that he has partiality? No. He is like the sun. The sun is there ever, and it is always going to show the same level of radiance. There is absolutely no partiality in sun, but in certain areas there are certain clouds which will block the sun's rays in reaching. Certain places it will be very clear that we will get the rays directly. The problem is not with the sun, but it is with us. If we do have the cloud around us, we are not able to receive the grace. The cloud here is nothing but our karmic deeds. So the karma that we have is the one which is stopping us in receiving the blessings from Lord Shiva. What we should be doing is stop all our karmic deeds by continuously praying and chanting to Lord Shiva, so that we can get rid of this karmic deeds and start receiving the blessings. Only when we receive the blessings, we can always stay put in a very stern manner, in a staunch manner, and we can start worshipping Lord Shiva without any wavering mind. So when you talk about this verse number 5, here our saint says, if we start getting into a wavery mind to say, whether this God is going to give me a boon, or that God is going to give me some relaxation, or this God is going to give me some kind of problem solving approach or whatever, and if we keep jumping up and down, it is not going to bring us anywhere, because it is going to be something like we will end up in a confused state. Rather, if we start focusing on just one single area, like when we talk about, even when we are learning some shooting or bow and arrow lessons and archery lessons and all these, the first lesson they will talk about is to focus on a particular point. That is very important. The focus is the one which is going to help us in achieving greater heights. The focus that we need to have is Lord Shiva. Can we have that on our own? Obviously no. This must be bestowed on us as a grace from Lord Shiva itself, because as human beings we do not have that capability. That is what verse number 5 talks about. Here he says, if someone comes and tries to distract us and say this God is there, that God is there, try not to get disturbed, try not to get distracted. Instead, stay put, because whenever we get distracted, we are not going to achieve the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and the real true path of realization, self-realization, is Lord Shiva, the one who is residing in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai, and I have to surrender completely to him in order to get his grace and stay put in this path in our spiritual journey. Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam, the 6th verse. The verse goes this way, Tiruchitrambalam. அக்கனானய செல்வமே சிந்தித்து ஐவரோடழுந்தியானவமே பூக்கிட வண்ணம் காத்தனை ஆண்ட புனிதனை வனிதை பாகனை தீக்கெலாம் குலவும் புகழ் திருவிழி மழலையான் திருவடி நிழல் கீழ் பூக்கு நிற்பவர்தம் பொன்னடி கமல பொடி அணிந்தடிமை பூண்டேனே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Again, another lovely verse. The moment we talk about materialistic things in this world, the moment we talk about money, the moment we talk about more towards the financial stability and all these, we will always be attracted towards either cash, credit card, condo, car, or club membership. But beyond that, do we have something? Obviously, yes. The real happiness, the real blissful state is not going to be given to us by any of these financial things that we are seeing around us. Rather, the real happiness is going to be given to us only when we are surrendering ourselves to Lord Shiva. That is what the first line here talks about in this verse. If we need real happiness, if we have to strive for the real happiness and live in this particular satisfactory life, obviously what we have to do is surrender completely to Lord Shiva. Other than that, there is no other option. Other than that, there is no other escape route for us, because everything else will entangle us in these materialistic worldly things and we will not be able to get out of it. That is what this particular verse, concept of this verse, is all about. Lord Shiva, who is in the form of Ardhanarishwara, when we talk about Ardhanarishwara, we know half is a male, half is a female. The female part is considered to be the grace. So when Lord Shiva is fully in the form of Ardhanarishwara, which means grace is already part of him, he is going to bestow that grace on us, and only when the grace is on us, we will also not deviate our path, and rather we will start proceeding in the path of Saivism, in the path which is going to guide us through the spiritual path and achieve realization. Now, how do we do that? We have to go to Thiruveezhimizhalai, and Lord Shiva is over there. There are a lot of disciples and devotees over there. We need to surrender ourselves not only to Lord Shiva but also to the devotees. I know it's going to be very, very hard because this is the place where our ego will be hurt extensively, because we can easily surrender to God but we can't surrender ourselves to his disciple, because we would think that they are also something similar to us human beings. Why would I want to surrender to a fellow human being? That would be the biggest challenge that we can ever face when we are in this path, letting go of our ego. How do we let go of our ego? It is possible only if we are with and also in the grace of Lord Shiva. That is what verse number 6 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, 7th verse. The verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. கங்கை நீரரிசில் கரையிரு மருங்கும் கமழ் பொழில் தழுவிய கழனி திங்கள் நேர் தீண்ட நீண்ட மாளிகை சோழ் மாட நீடுயர் திருவேழி தங்கு சீர் செல்வ தெய்வத்தான் தோன்றி நம்பியை தன் பெரும் சோதி மங்கையோர் பங்கத்து என்னரு மருந்தை வருந்தி நான் மறப்பனோ இனியே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This particular verse talks about the beautiful place, as in the physical place of Thiruveezhimizhalai. Not only that, it also talks about the prosperity of that place. Not only that, it also talks about how the lives in that particular place is, as in how prosperous the lives are. So, and also to talk about Lord Shiva and how do we surrender to him, obviously, right, because we are talking about a Tirupathikam. In this he says, the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai is in, there is a river, beautiful river in that place, which is called as Arisil Karai, and there are beautiful orchards and flower gardens near this place, and fruits and flower orchids are there, and that kind of a place is filled with prosperity, and we can see the prosperity with high raised buildings and all these. And in that particular place, Lord Shiva resides as someone who cannot be created or someone who was not created. He created all by nature itself. He was there since the starting itself. We call it as Than Tondri. So Than Tondri means there is no one who created or no one who consecrated the Shivlinga, but it came by itself. So without any specific consecration, he created himself, and that kind of a Lord Shiva is the one that I've surrendered to. And this particular verse completes with a beautiful question. The question is, will I forget him? The answer that is implied here is, no, I will never forget him again. So already we have forgotten him for so many lives. Never again I'm going to commit the same mistake. That is what the underlying meaning is. The hidden meaning behind this is, I will never forget him, and I'm going to surrender myself. I've already surrendered myself, and I'm going to continue being a slave for Lord Shiva. That is what verse number 7 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, 8th verse. The verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. ஆயிரம் கமலம் ஞாயிராயிரமோ கண்முக கரசரணத்தோன் பாயிரும் கங்கை பனி நிலா கரந்த படர் சடை மின்னு பொன்முடியோன் வேயுரும் தோழி உமை மணவாளன் விரும்பிய மழலை சொல் பொழிலை போயிருந்தேயும் போற்றுவார் கழல்கள் போற்றுவார் புரந்தராதிகளே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This verse beautifully describes how Lord Shiva is, when we look at Lord Shiva, how is he going to, basically the description, the physical description of Lord Shiva is beautifully given in this verse. Imagine we have a lotus. Lotus is already so beautiful. Imagine if we have thousands of lotus in one bunch. How beautiful it is going to be, right? So Lord Shiva's face is similar to that. If we have thousands of sun together, you can imagine what level of brightness. That is the brightness that Lord Shiva is in. So we can imagine how beautiful and how bright he is, and at the same time he has beautiful three eyes. We all know right eyes represents the sun, left eyes represents the moon, and the forehead, the third eye which is on the forehead represents fire. The source of heat, source of light is taken as sun, moon and fire. All three are considered to be the eyes of Lord Shiva. Not only that, he is having a beautiful feet, lotus feet, obviously we can see that, and also his hands are so elegant. So this is how Lord Shiva is looking at, and at the same time he has his consort equally on his body, which is what we call it as the Ardhanarishwara form, where half male, half female. So the left side is taken as the female part, which is where his consort Uma Deviyar is there. So we are able to see the Uma Maheshwara form, which is in the form of Ardhanarishwara, and he is having the beautiful ganges on his hair. The hair is tied, and onto it there is a beautifully flowing ganges. Along with that, he is having the beautiful crescent to finish the makeup of his hair. So his hair dressing is so beautifully done that you are able to see the water and at the same time the crescent, the moon, crescent moon on his forehead as well. This is how Lord Shiva is looking at, and he is residing in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai. Those people who are residing there, those people who are visiting him, those people who are unable to visit him but thinking of Thiruveezhimizhalai Lord, and we are able to sing his praises, and we are able to sing the Thirumurais and all these and talk about him. If you categorize all these, either you are staying there or you visit, or you are not able to visit but you are thinking of him, either of it, you are going to be praised by all the devas, Devadi Devas, which is Indra, Lord Vishnu. All of them are going to sing praises of it, praises of us, because we are already considered to be in the path of Saivism. Such a beautiful verse to say what level of importance is given to the disciples or the devotees of Lord Shiva is basically given in this particular verse, verse number 8. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, 9th verse. The verse goes this way. எண்ணில் பல்கோடி சேவடி முடிகள் எண்ணில் பல்கோடி திண்தோள்கள் எண்ணில் பல்கோடி திருவுரு நாமம் ஏற்கொள் முக்கண் முகம் இயல்பும் எண்ணில் பல்கோடி எல்லை கப்பாலாய் நின்றாய் நூற்றந்தணரேத்தும் எண்ணில் பல்கோடி குணத்தரீர் விழி இவர் நம்மை ஆளுடையாரே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். This verse beautifully talks about how you can classify Lord Shiva. Do we have any boundary for Lord Shiva? Obviously no, and that is what is being beautifully given in this verse. So how many feet or the foot Lord Shiva has? It's crores of it. How many faces he has, as in the head? He's having crores of it. How about his shoulders? Crores of it. And also his name? Crores of it. And how about his form? As in, when you talk about form, crores of it. Do we have a boundary? Obviously no. Any kind of a boundary will restrict our Almighty. So we don't talk about any kind of a boundary. He is beyond the boundaries, and he is beyond anything that we can think about or feel in this world. That kind of Lord Shiva is residing in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai. which is being praised and worshipped by people who are there, 500 of them in total. Back then, most probably it would have been like 500. 500 priests are there to worship and to do pujas and make all the rituals and all these in a working condition. There were 500 of them, and all 500 of them are priests over there who have been worshipping Thiruveezhimizhalai deity. That deity is the one who has taken us as one of his devotee. Imagine, so many people are struggling and striving to become Lord Shiva's devotees, but without much of an effort or without any effort, once his grace is on us, we are already his disciple. Did we do anything for that? At least I don't think I remember of doing anything of that sort. But he has taken control and he is asking us, making us chant his name, utter his name, which means his love, his blessing is on us. That is what verse number 9 is all about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam, 10th verse. The verse goes this way. Takkan Vengadhiron Salandaran Piraman Chandiran Indiran Yechen Mikkanenjarakan Puram Karigarudan Marali Valivai Miga Seguthon Tikkelam Nirainda Pugal Thiruveezhimizhalai Thiruvadi Nizhal Keel Pokkirundavartham Ponnadi Kamala Podi Anindadimai Pondeni. Tiruchitrambalam. The 10th verse consolidates all the heroic effects of, or the actions or the deeds of Lord Shiva. We all know whenever Lord Shiva wants to bestow his grace on us, he either does it in the form of, we call it as the carrot or the cane, right? Both are considered to be a blessing, because either he will cane us to make sure that we are in the right path, or he is going to give us the carrot, the dangling carrot in front of us, so that it is going to be a reward for us. All these activities that is being given in this particular, the 10th verse, is basically the punishments that Lord Shiva has given, but that is also taken as a boon. The first one is Dakshan Valvi. We have already heard of this story multiple times, the Purana multiple times, where Dakshan did not invite Lord Shiva and he was performing a pyre, a ritual, which was being then destroyed. During this process, Yechen, sun god, moon god, Indran, everyone were punished because they all attended the ceremony, which did not give respect to the Almighty. And along with that, there's another Purana that is being mentioned here, which is Salandaran. Salandaran was also, there's a person, he was born in the waters, that is why he was, he was born because of waters, so he is called as Jalandharan. He was also punished because of his, basically whenever we are talking about all these asuras, the demons, they all do some harm to all the human beings or to the lives or even to the devas, so he was also punished. Brahma was also punished by sacrificing one of his head anyways, we know that story also. Ravana was also punished. Lord Shiva burnt down the 3 flying fortress into ashes. He also made sure that he is punishing the elephant. He was also punishing the death god Yaman. He also punished the bird, which we call it as the king of kings when it comes to the birds. So he punished Garudan also. Not only that, he also burnt down the Cupid into ashes, because all of them performed some kind of a misdeed, and because of that they were all punished. All these are Puranas. We have been talking about this for so many times. That kind of a Lord Shiva who has performed all these heroic acts, he is the one residing in the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai, and this place Thiruveezhimizhalai is surrounded by all the priests and all the devotees. And according to this particular verse, the saint says, I want to worship the devotees of Lord Shiva. It's easy to worship Lord Shiva. We all know that, because he is the Almighty, so surrendering to him is much easier. But surrendering to a devotee is not so easy. So the way how he brings in this particular verse is, he wants to surrender himself to the devotees, so that when he is because of that's basically a bit of a humiliation as well, and that will build in his humbleness. That is what our lesson for us today is also about. What we have to groom ourselves is, we need to build up this humiliation, this particular humbleness, by surrendering ourselves to the devotees and bringing our spiritual elevation to the next level. Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam, 11th verse. The verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. Olam kolla madura kadir veri tuyir mel arul sori tharumuma padiyai vallam killa nadiyum madiyamum sodi malavadai mel varuvanai velam goli vili மழலை வேந்தே என்று ஆந்தனை சீந்தன் தாதையான் களம் கொள அழைத்தால் பொழைக்குமோ அடியின் கை கொண்ட கனக கற்பகமே. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். Yet another beautiful verse. In this, he starts with the grace of Lord Shiva. We all know Lord Shiva means love, means grace. He is there to give all the existence with his grace, and that is his only objective. We all know about that, and once you fall in love with Lord Shiva, we will all start appreciating this quality. That's exactly what is being resonated in this particular verse. In this verse, he says, as in Sendhanar says, we have to start relishing Lord Shiva in our thoughts, in our mind, in our soul, in our heart. How is that possible? If you look at it, the next word, the next phrase itself he puts in as, who is in the form of a fire, who's in the form of light, who's in the form of the brightest form of light as well as the heat, which is nothing but Annamalayar. We all know the moment we think of Annamalayar, we will surely be, we'll get into the path of Mukti. So how is that possible? Very simple. When we start thinking about Lord Shiva, we start uttering his words, his mantra, we always keep talking about him. Obviously, we will not accumulate any karma, and because of that, we will achieve Mukti. He also talks about another very important phrase, as of today, whatever is needed for this world. We all are aware of this ecosystem, and we know in the ecosystem, none of the species is superior or inferior. Everything has its own part to play in this ecosystem to maintain the equilibrium of this world. So, today we all think human beings are of a higher species, and the other living beings are there only to serve or to feed the human form. Indeed, we are wrong, because even if you are talking about a small honeybee, if it has been totally vanishing from this world, if it's vanished from this world, we human beings cannot survive as well, which means every living being is dependent on one another, and that is what today's science, today's ecosystem is very clearly explaining it to us. Hence, he gives in the very beautiful phrase saying that Lord Shiva showers his love and affection not only on human beings but all form of lives. When we say life, all the way from a small bacteria, all the way to a plant, all the way to a four-legged animal, to a fish, or some living being which is in the water, or an amphibian, or even an human being, or a carnivorous, herbivorous, whatever we call, even an omnivorous, Lord Shiva is there to shower his love on those beings. That is why he is coming with his consort, because we all know Arul, grace, means his consort. Not only that, he also talks about another graceful act of Lord Shiva, which is he has given a place for the moon crescent as well as Ganges in his hair. We all know Lord Shiva has given his hair for these two. If we look at it, both of them came in, they came with different objective, whatever it is, but end of the day they fell at Lord Shiva's feet. So whoever surrenders to Lord Shiva, they will be given the equal treatment without having any kind of a discrimination, is what Lord Shiva is all about. And that is why he's coming in the, we all know his vehicle rather is the bullock cart, bullock basically. The cow represents the equilibrium state, and that is why Lord Shiva is coming in that. And beautiful phrase, the next two lines are talking about when we are calling aloud Lord Shiva, he will surely come and show his grace to us. He is the father of Lord Muruga, and that is what concludes this particular verse. Because the moment we start calling for him, we all know calling comes from Suddhamaya, which is basically the words. When we start calling for him, the way how we call is more important. It must be filled with love, and that will bring closer to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva will surely heed to our prayers. That is what verse number 11 talks about. Sivaya Nama Tiruchitrambalam. And the finale verse, which is the 12th verse. The verse goes this way. Tiruchitrambalam. Padalangara Parisil Kasaruli Paழுத்த செந்தமிழ் மலர் சூடி நீடலங்காரத்து எம் பெருமக்கள் நெஞ்சினுள் நிறைந்து நின்றானை வேடலங்கார கோலத்தின் அமுதை திருவிழிமழலையுறாளும் கேடிலங்கீர்த்தி கனக கற்பகத்தை கெழுமுதற்கெவ்விடத்தேனே. Tiruchitrambalam. Today's verse is something that we should realize while we are chanting. The reason is, imagine as of today, I'm studying some kind of educational background, or even my effort is there, I'm trying to work hard and I'm growing up my corporate ladder. I'm in a very big position and I've earned that position. So we usually say, right, when someone is in a higher position, we used to say, you earned it. Yes, people earn the positions. But imagine today we are in the path of Saivism, we are chanting the name of Shiva, we have gotten initiated in the path of Saivism, and we are performing Shiv Puja. Do you think we earned it? Do you think it's because of our eligibility criteria that we had gotten this? 100% no. It is because of Lord Shiva's grace on us we got this status. It is nothing that we earned or we have put in an effort to achieve this. It is 100% because of Lord Shiva's grace that we got this blessing. And no one can say no for it, because we all know this is the truth. Such a beautiful verse. I'm not sure if this verse is applicable to the author, the saint, because he is in a different state, but 100% it applies to people like us, because we are able to chant his name, chant the five-letter syllable mantra, Sivaya Nama or Nama Sivaya. It is because of Lord Shiva's grace and nothing I can take credit for. Obviously, when you talk about this particular padigam, the entire padigam is sung for the place called as Thiruveezhimizhalai, which has a very important historical event to remember, and that has been again documented in this particular verse. Thiruñana Sambandar and Thirunavukarasar, when they were in this particular place during the 700 and the 800s AD, around there was a tremendous famine in that entire place, and because of that they wanted to feed all the people over there, which is basically the socio-ethics that we have to talk about as well. And they prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said, okay, I'm going to give you cash, I'm going to give you money, which is gold coins back then. There was no cash then. So I'm going to give you gold coins, but instead of that, you need to sing padigams for me. This is a clue for us as well. If you want to get something from Lord Shiva, very simple, just sit in front of his altar and just sing some padigam. He will be cool and he'll give you whatever you want. That is how you have to mesmerize Lord Shiva. Singing is the best way. So that's the first line. And then here they also talk about the other history, which the Purana, we have already seen this. Lord Shiva took the form of a hunter just to shower his blessings on Arjuna. That particular history is also being, or Purana is also resonated here. That kind of Lord Shiva is residing in the place called Thiruveezhimizhalai, and it is because of his grace that I have become a devotee of Lord Shiva. That is how the author concludes this verse. Beautiful verse. As I said, whenever we are reading this verse, we have to remember only one thing. It is not because of my effort, or I have not earned the position of Shivanadiyar, or basically we call them as the devotees, but rather it is because of his grace that I am in this path. Such a beautiful verse. I'll come back again with the next padigam altogether very soon. Until then, Sivaya Nama, Tiruchitrambalam.